parents, the father doesn't actually use the word bribe. He says that they offered money while the body was lying there. The aunt confirms that. In a separate interview to me, he also said that, look, if this was compensation, it would be an insult to my daughter's memory if I'm now going to take money from the government. The point is, the police, whether it offered this as compensation or a bribe, the fact is the family believes the police did not do its job. The doctors believe that the police did not do its job, and the doctors also believe that the vandalism that subsequently takes place on 14th August, perhaps with an effort or an aim to tamper the crime scene, takes place with the police looking the other way. The most generous thing that you can say about the Kolkata police at this time is that they were incompetent. The most ominous thing that you can say about them is that somehow they're connected. How do you look at the role of the police?
Look, the question is what percentage of we have of A, incompetency, and B is being devious in this case.
Sure.
Probably will be calculated better once we have some kind of a closure on this. But there are two other things, I'd like to point out to you. Consider
Yeah.
one thing, how to what depths can we stoop down? Just consider one thing that at a time when the FIR has not yet been recorded, the principal of a certain medical college, say RG Corps, is sitting and ordering the principal of another medical college to send specifically one of the trainee forensic specialists who belongs to a certain political affiliation to come and do the postmortem. Point number one.
Is this a weekday?
Pardon? No, no, no.
Is
This
this
is
is
Sandeep
this is
Ghosh.
someone else?
This is
No, no, this is
Sandeep
Sandeep
Ghosh
Ghosh asking another college to
asking
send.
the head of the department of forensic of another medical college called NRS, calls the
Correct.
gentleman, he's the senior man, tells him, look, you don't come, I don't want you to come. Who else is there in your department? There is somebody who is way junior and allegedly affiliated and loyal, said, I want this particular person who is probably not the qualified person to do the postmortem,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
even if you go, and when today forensic specialists are looking through what is considered to be the details of the postmortem report, it really appears to be all over the place. And the next step is even more bizarre. Is by that time when hardly the last stitch is finished, once the postmortem is conducted, now there is this unholy rush. You're literally on a countdown that the body has to leave the premises and has to be cremated, when there was every possibility that a second postmortem, an expert postmortem could be asked for. And RG Corps of all places has one of the best sort of the body preservation facilities in the city. There was no problems with that.
So the
And
body could have
as
been easily preserved. The body could have been easily preserved
there
at RG
was
Corps itself.
there was a crowd of doctors who were gathered in front of the police car with the body trying to stop it. And the police vehicle literally plowed through that crowd, went through to the cremation site wherever it was, overtook three other dead bodies what were there, and they were really on an Olympic sprint countdown over here to get the body cremated. Now, if this is not a set of suspicious circumstances, then what is? And a
Yeah.
couple of
So
other important point over
Can,
here,
can, can, I- can, I, can I just come in on the cremation and the postmortem? Just two things before you share the other 2 points. One, I think a lot of people outside Kolkata and the medical community may not know that RG Corps itself had very, very efficient facilities and capacity to have the body preserved. That's point
largest in
one.
the city, largest in the city.
Very interesting. And secondly, young doctors are trying to stop the police. This is something that Tapas Pramanik also confirms. Young doctors are trying to stop the police from moving the body. So there is no doubt, I think, factually, that the police was in a hurry to cremate the body. But unfortunately, they have now sought to blame the family for this. They've said, oh, the family wanted to do it. Now, the family can't be in any condition mentally. Their daughter has just been raped and killed. They've had to look at that as the last image in their hearts, her bleeding private parts, her bleeding eyes. Should the family at that time be, we're dumping the responsibility on the family? That really galls me.
Well, even if you give any sort of any two pence bit for that story, consider one thing: when
Yeah,
the cremation certificate is made out after the cremation, that doesn't even have a family member signature. How crude could you get?
right.
How crude can you get? Can you ever imagine a cremation where a father and mother are in attendance? They are waiting over there, and the cremation certificate has a signature of some party official. How crude can you get? Sadly, that's what happened.
So we keep coming back to why. We keep coming back again and again to why.
You see, there are a couple of hypotheses which is going around in the air. One
Yes.
hypothesis is that this warlord who was running, he was not alone. There are similar warlords running actually couple other big medical colleges, medical councils, etc. That this girl had done something or was threatening to divulge some of his sort of deep dark secrets. He had enough of them, and somebody thought that this girl needed to be taught a lesson.
Yeah.
Now, as you get into this cannibalistic exercise of teaching somebody a lesson, you don't know where to stop, right? And then probably after some sort of it's like a mafia punishment. When the mafia punishes, it is not just to murder somebody, but that's also a lesson in itself. That is for the lesson for the people in the environment to look back and say that, look, next time if this happens, this is how many bones we break, or this is how many throats we throttle. And this
Yeah.
character could have come into the scene later on. This is probably one likely theory. Now, who were the individuals? What were their identities? Will we ever be able to match the corroborating biological specimens? That honestly, Barkha, is very, very doubtful, because 5 days between the sort of a shoddy investigative process and this being handed over to the CBI is a long time in these matters. Is a long time.
Well, that goes to some of the questions that are coming in our audience stream. Smita Singh says, "Is the system so poor that even after 15 days we're still guessing?" Now, I think what people have to understand is that we may have lost the opportunity to get to the bottom of this. Or am I being too cynical?
You see, there is another point of concern which we haven't discussed really, which you did
Yes.
mention in the beginning, that with the outrage of Kolkata being so civilized, being so organized, yet so overpowering, a grave concern in the minds of people of Kolkata honestly is there is a certain there is a certain amount of dissatisfaction with the pitch, the timber with which proceedings are going on in the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of hearings looked all too friendly. The last couple of hearings looked like a lot of conversations, looked like a lot of dismay. We are the people, we are the lay people, we are the ones who will be dismayed. We are the people who will say, I've never seen it in the life. When this case goes to the last port of call to the country, they take cognizance of the lapses, they establish accountability, and they take action. So, we don't think that we are extremely ecstatic about the fact that the Suomoto case was taken from the Calcutta High Court, because Sandeep Ghosh's arrest has only happened at the behest of the Kolkata High Court. Remember that.
What
because
in
Kolkata.
particular, what in particular, sorry to interrupt you, what in particular is disappointing the people of Calcutta or Bengal about the Supreme Court hearings? It's led by the Chief Justice. I know there's been dissatisfaction with the postponement, and we have a tentative new date of the 9th, but it's still being called tentative. What in particular about the hearings? Is it looking too chummy, too clubby? Elaborate on that.
Well, I think it is almost looking like putting a sellotape on a stab wound, because that is what it is looking like to us. The most of the discussions, I think, in the last day of the hearing, if not the last 2 days, was the various incongruences in the timing, the case record. Was it 9 o'clock? Was it 12 o'clock? Was it 3 o'clock? Was it 5 o'clock? We really, in very common sense terms, we are not expert lawyers. We are absolutely flabbergasted that all this happened without the police being present. And on one
You're saying
hand,
you're saying why wasn't the Kolkata police in the court to answer?
I think that was a pretty preliminary prerequisite. The
Right.
justices are dismayed. The justices are surprised. As Justice probably Padriwala said, I've never seen anything like this in my life. And honestly, all due respects to him, Mr. Sybil wasn't really approaching his answers with any kind of confidence. Now, who could have? Who should have? We are losing time. We should have had the police representation by the side of him, who should have really authenticated and owned up to the process that, look, this is what happened. Was this a mistake? Was this an error of omission? Was this an error of commission? This had to be there. One more point you have already raised earlier on, the person who was at the initiation of much of these police processes, the DC, the deputy constable or something of the local police station. Honestly speaking, as far as records suggest, he's not even been adequately interrogated so far. He's not even. And the third point is that, look, that is water under the bridge. But for the 5 days the case was with them, Calcutta police did not interrogate Sandeep Ghosh, not for once.
Hang
Not
on.
for once.
I didn't know that. The Kolkata police did not question Sandeep Ghosh.
They did not question Sandeep Ghosh for even a minute. There was no interrogation of Sandeep Ghosh by the police. It only happened when the CBI came in. So, from a very citizen's perspective, the question today, maybe unkind question, but up with utmost respect to the credibility of the Supreme Court, the Calcutan who's walking the streets, staying awake at night, shutting off their lights n number of times a week, is asking the question that what was the value addition to this investigation by this suo moto move from the High Court to the Supreme Court? And why are we reinventing the wheel repeatedly when all these points of faulty record keeping, faulty timekeeping, everything was there and known from before? This is about 2 weeks old now. And how can we discuss these matters, say, between Mr. Sybil, who at best is struggling, he is really struggling to come up, he's trying to defend the indefensible. And we have a set of justices who repeatedly are saying that, look, we've never seen anything like this in their life. Fair enough, they may be truthful. But in this repartee, in this interaction, where is the police? The process belongs to them. It's like it's like Hamlet without the Prince of Denmark. They haven't figured in the discussion so far. So somewhere, as we say, the central cry of the people of the city has been crying for justice. But are we stern enough? Are we really trying to be expeditious? Are we asking the tough and the correct questions? That, I think, is something, maybe in our angst and outrage, we could be over interpreting the situation. But certainly we cannot, if today we do not have a candid conversation, the question is when When will be the opportunity?